now. So I will share my screen. So again, this is the last session of our free course for preparing for the IELTS speaking. The focus of this session is about part 3 of the IELTS speaking test, and the second session will be about how to prepare. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, so this part is about the part 3 of the speaking test. So part 3 is like a conversation between the examiner and the candidate, and it will last for 4 to 5 minutes. The examiner will lead the conversation. He will ask you, or she will ask you, some questions, but there will be general question in relation to the cue card. Sometimes it's called the follow-up section or part. So the questions will be more related to part 2, which was the cue card, so that in order to make some sort of harmony between or coherence in the test. So he's not going to ask you if the part 2 is about, for example, a gift that you gave to someone. So part 3 will be asking about giving gifts to your friends or to people in general, and why it is important, and so on. These questions will encourage candidates to express their thoughts and feelings. As in other parts of the IELTS speaking, candidates are judged only on how they use the English language, not on their general knowledge. So it's not about how much general knowledge do you know. It's about how you use your speaking skills in answering the questions. This is number 1. Number 2, in this part, you should actually answer in an extended manner. Not like part 1. Your answers here should more intensive, should be prolonged, or more, let's say, longer than what you would say in part 1. So what are some of the topics that you may expect in part 3? Take like 2 minutes and think about matching these. The ones on the left are something related to cue card in part 2. So some follow-up questions could be here. All that you need here is to match. For example, I will do the first one. Describe one of your favorite positions. Remember the pronunciation of this word, because this is one of the words that people may mispronounce. So what is the pronunciation here of this word? Do you know, Mr. Khaled?
Yes, mister. It's positions.
Yeah, it's similar to position, the word position. So if I ask you in part 2, this is in part 2, that was the topic in part 2. What do you think would be a relevant question here in part 3?
Like the last word in the and the last one is not clear, but I think it's the last choice.
This here is in your country.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're right. This is related to this, so it should be here. So because the question should be related to the topic in part 2. This is part 2, and this is part 3. Okay. Now take 2 minutes and think about the other options.
The second one will be matched to the first one.
Just a minute. Okay, so the second one you say, the second one, the topic is like foreign language. So which one do you say?
The first one.
Yeah, this is relevant. Okay, this will help you to expect what comes next in the IELTS speaking part 3 test. Next one.
The third one.
No, the fourth one.
Something.
No, the fourth one. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, speed internet.
Yeah. Discuss family member.
The
This is
third one.
the third one. Yes.
Yeah. And the situation, useful advice. It's the only option here.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah. So this is just to give you some insight about what to expect. Next. Luciano talks about foreign languages. Do you think that everyone should learn a foreign language? Look at his response to this question. Okay, so look at this size of the response itself and look at the size of the question. This is not in part 1. Oh, so how many sentences here? But are they short or long?
Long.
Yeah, long sentence. This is how you should plan for answers or responses in this part. Personally, I think it's very important in today's world that people can speak more than one language. So in my opinion, speaking only one language can be a limitation. The question is, how did Luciano, is somebody coming here? So Zainab, are coming from 2 devices. No, 2 Zainab. So here, how did Luciano indicate that he was expressing opinions rather than stating facts? What words did he use to do so?
He said personally.
Yes, this is indicating his own experience. Another thing?
In my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion. Other phrases which we frequently use for before stating opinions are as far as I am concerned. So you can use such phrases. if you ask me, in my view and in my experience. Or you can start your sentence with, I firmly believe, I think that, and I often felt that, and so on. So it is recommended that you express your personal views here in this part. Now it's your turn. Should the government provide free high-speed internet to people who cannot afford it? Take like 20 seconds and think about the answer to this question in an extended manner. And you should express your opinion. When you listen, because you're not going to see the question in the real test, you only listen to this from the examiner. So you should focus your attention to the keywords. This is like a yes/no question, but you shouldn't answer yes or no. Should the government provide free high-speed internet to people who can't afford it? Not to all the people. So what do you think? Any ideas? Can you answer Ms. Zainab, or we have two Zainabs here today? Yeah, so the question is that this is a typical part 3 question in the IELTS test. And you have, I would ask you this question: should the government provide free high-speed internet to people who cannot afford it? What do you think? You can use your mic and answer. Any ideas? If you go back here, you can start your talk by any of these. Personally, in my opinion, also you can use, as far as I am concerned. If you ask me, in my view, I firmly believe any of these you could start them. So what do you think? This is not about true or wrong answer. It's not about you only have to show that you can answer the question, and that's it. And the type of answer you say will determine your level in the speaking test. It will determine your PAN. And it is highly recommended for this part to give extended answers, long sentences, long term.
Right, maybe I can say, in my view, I guess, yeah, the government should provide free internet to the people who cannot afford it, because no one, all people are in need to the internet these days, so it is important.
Yeah. My advice here is to try to use synonyms. So, for example, instead of provide, you can use other words. Synonyms are key things here in the IELTS test. So, provide, kind of efficient instead of high speed. People to, for example, instead to, you can say to students or teachers, or you can just try to show that you have more vocab. Okay.
All right.
So this is, you always use this technique in the IELTS test. Don't use the same words that the examiner use. So, for example, provide. You can look for synonyms here for provide.
Provide.
Supply, give, contribute, and so on. And you can find more synonyms here. So always think about synonyms. Do you think it's important for people to play games?
I firmly believe that نسيت الإجابة. It's not significant for people to play games. Maybe.
Yeah. Why do you think so?
Um, mm, because actually in my view, playing games is just maybe sometimes it's a waste of time. It's maybe people can do it just for fun, so it's not that significant, you know.
Yeah. So this is your own
My
point of view. You are not going to be judged on that point of view. You're just judging on using the language, and that's it. Next question: what do you
Okay.
think is the purpose
Okay,
of
in
advertising?
in my opinion, it's important for people to play games for activation memory
Yeah.
and for children to be more smart.
Yeah. So
That's all.
of these answers are okay, but the thing that with more practice, you should adjust your speaking up to the level that you want to achieve in the IELTS test, and that's it. The last question is the same. What do you think is, so all of these start with should, what do you think, and so on. When people are experiencing problems in their lives, where can they go for help? Another kind of question. One of the techniques here is to mention a specific example. So look at this, half a minute, really read this answer.
What is the meaning of pastor?
It's like maybe like someone who is a religious man in Christianity.
Okay, thank you.
Pastor.
Pastor, a member of Christian clergy in some Protestant churches.
Okay,
Pastors.
thank you.
Pastor. Okay, thank you. So a friend of mine went through a difficult divorce, and she got emotional support from the people in her congregation. There are also charities that specialize in particular problems. So the technique that the Tilly used here is they give special examples or specific examples to show that the answer should be long. Part 3 usually is focused on long answers or follow-up questions to part 2. So from part 3, you can expect what was the topic in part 2. What was the topic, do you think? If here it is about problems. So I think that part 2 was about this. Describing what? It would be describing also a problem or situation.
Problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
problem or situation when you needed help, for example. Another question, and here is a technique. Looking at both sides of the topic. What are the advantages and disadvantages of working in a family business? Take 1 minute and see a model answer here. Read the model answer and focus on how Elton reduced this answer. What did he use to show both sides of a topic? So the topic is about advantages and disadvantages. So here, was that part a positive side or a negative side of family business?
Yeah.
Is it positive or negative?
Both of them.
This part is positive, and what about this part?
This is
Oh yeah, this is negative.
negative.
Negative. How did he start the
I
first
thought-
part?
On the other hand,
In one hand, and the
on one
second
hand,
part,
yes, and on the other
hand.
hand.
Organizing your answer like this actually will post your band score. And this, with this kind of questions, which focus on mentioning two sides of a topic, you should organize your answers in the same way. Another technique for part 3, making several points. Question is, what are the benefits of studying a musical instrument? This is like a follow-up question from part 2. So I expect that part 2 was like describe a musical instrument or describe like a song or something like that. 1 minute to read this and see how it is organized. This will keep you, actually will give you your answers some sort of what?
Organization and coherence.
What we call this in the
Coherence.
IELTS test. What we call this for the IELTS, let's say, marking scheme. Is it related to grammar or is it related to coherence and cohesion? Is it related to pronunciation, fluency, whatever?
Coherence and cohesion.
Okay, but when the speaking test, we say fluency and coherence. Fluency. So we put
Okay.
fluency and the coherence together. So when you organize your
Alright.
answers in this way, you are targeting to raise your level of fluency and coherence. Okay. When you are giving answers with correct grammar, so this will and long a variety of sentences, you are targeting to have a high score in the grammar and let's say grammar and accuracy, grammar range and accuracy. And of course, so in your answer should actually target all the 4 parts of the speaking test, the 4 speaking, let's say, marking criteria. The marking criteria, I will remind you again with them, that is the, let's say, FC, fluency and coherence, GRA, grammar, range and accuracy, LR, lexical resource, and pronunciation. Unlike the speaking, we have task achievement, we have GR, grammar, and we have LR, lexical resource, and we have CC, coherence and cohesion. Okay, linking words and phrases that you may use for this part or other parts, of course, but you will need them here. Match the words and phrases with a similar meaning. In general,
On the whole,
On the whole.
yeah. As I told you before, synonyms, synonyms, synonyms in listening, in speaking, reading, and writing. In short,
to sum up,
yeah.
To sum up.
For example,
For instance,
in addition,
what's more?
What's more?
what is more? Yeah. So,
Therefore,
therefore,
we're
basically,
essentially.
essentially. So when you have alternatives, usually you will not going to tend you're not going to tend to use the same word many times. So in one way you can say in general, and the other sentence you say in the whole or overall, by the end of the day, and so on. In short, you can say to sum up or to sum it up, to put it briefly, and many other expressions. So try to know more than one way of expressing things. Now it's your turn. What do you think are the benefits of travel? Brainstorm your answers. So we have the keyword here, benefits. So this is, you have to give several points here. What are the advantages and disadvantages? This is like, what we call it? What kind of question is it?
both sides of
Two
the
sides,
issue.
yes. Both sides question. So you have to focus on both. The positive side and the negative side of the in your answer. Has advertising changed in recent years? Don't say yes or no. Here you have to express your point of view. Point,
Can give example.
yes, point of view and example, POV, point of view. Why do you think people like collecting things? This is also another way of the same question. Why? Okay, so here don't be misguided with the helping verb or the auxiliary verb, because this is not a yes no question, even in part 1. Okay, so we'll go out just for 5 minutes and come back, or 2 minutes. Yes, no, instead we have 10 minutes. No problem. Next, if you don't know the answer, what are you going to do? Don't say I don't know the answer. How do you think mobiles, cell phones will develop in the future? You can look at this kind of answer, the sample answer. That's something I have never really thought about. And you have an exclamation mark. That's something I have never thought about. To be honest, I'm not really interested in technology. I have a pretty basic phone and I just use it for calls and texting. But just speaking off the top of my head, the trend these days is all about social media. So I guess the next generation of phones will make it easier for people to share their photographs and videos in their social networks. How well do you think Terence did? Is he an expert on phone technology? What do you think? Could he ace the question?
He was to the point, and
Yeah,
he
he did.
heard it in a
Yeah,
very great way.
yeah. Because actually, in the IELTS test, you're not going to be judged according to your knowledge. This is also some way you have to be like flexible and use a strategy of diplomacy in order to answer this question. It's not about how much knowledge do you know about a certain question. You are not in, let's say, a knowledge test. It's about language. Some questions similar to the last one. Why do you think some people like to drive cars which are more than 50 years old? You could just, for example, as far as I know, some people are more infatuated with the old cars, maybe because these cars are look differently in some way, or because they want to attract attention to their hobby and so on. So it's not about good or, let's say, right or wrong answer. It's about how you can use strategies to answer the question. You can negotiate the answer. What do you think restaurants will be like in the future? This is the same like technology. What are the benefits of studying mathematics? Even if you don't know, you can just mention something that anyone knows. Now, let's check. So let's recap this part of the session. Part 3 lasts for 4 to 5 minutes. What do you think? Yes or no?
True.
True. Candidates should stick to the facts and never express any opinion.
False.
Not correct. In part 3, candidates can mention concrete examples to support their opinions.
True.
If you don't know the answers to a question, you will fail part 3.
False.
False. And the last one. What do you think?
I guess it's true.
Yeah,
True.
exactly. Yes, you will need this not only in the IELTS speaking, but also in the writing test. That's the end of this session. And the next session, which will start after this session is finished, it will be about how to prepare and this meeting will actually stop and then we'll start the new meeting. We could have like 5 minutes in between. Before we start the next session, do you have any questions? I'm open to discussion until the meeting is off.
No, thanks a lot.
Okay. So I will.
The next part of the session excuse me, the next part of the session will be also 1 hour.
It will be like 40 minutes like this. Or we can extend it for 1 hour. Like if we need it, we can go out and come back, because I didn't, as I told you, I didn't.
Yeah, the point is
activate.
I'm feeling a little bit ill, and at the same time I want to attend, but I don't know what to do. So if we
Okay.
can shorten this, that will be fine.
It will not be an hour. It's just we will have to go out of this meeting and come back. So we will not going to wait. It will be like 40 minutes, same way, or half an hour.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. So I'll stop this,
Okay, excuse me.
and we will, yes, and
Excuse
we'll
me?
come back after, let's say, 5 minutes.
Okay,
Okay.
what?
Yes.
Okay, I have one question.
Yep.
Uh, what is the website or links to practice speaking? Can you give
Again,
me, please?
website.
Websites or
Websites. You mean? I would recommend like,
apps?
I would recommend this free. This meeting will, so we will continue this at the beginning. This meeting will stop now. Please come on 5 minutes on the same link. I will answer your question.
Okay, thank you.